for streaming a little bit. I was on with Crispy from hexfire.io about 3 days ago, and here I am back at it again with a nice solo stream. It's been a while since I've done an overview of a protocol. It's been a little bit, so this will be fun. I'm excited for what I got in store for you guys today. I'm obviously talking about Fiat and famous.io. And so this stream, what it really is it's laying the groundwork for basically the future things I'm going to talk about. I'm just getting like the 101 basic information out there in what's what I'm looking for, kind of like in respect to like where my head is about it, and kind of how, and later on I'm going to like relate these things to like, obviously Hedron, Icosa, Hex, and all of that, but both at a practical level and at a theoretical level, like what is having platforms like these mean for us as Hex, Hedron, and Icosa stakers. I see this as a really, really good extension. So I'm excited to talk about it. And I'm excited to share it with you all. And, hopefully you guys see a little bit about what I'm seeing with this stuff too. Let's go through the chat. Steven R., good to see you. Nope, just me today. I am doing a stream with Dylan on Monday night, I believe probably like 6:30 EST. So I wanted to get this out of the way and out to you guys first before I did that, so that all the groundwork is laid out. Yep, Saturday Night Sloth. What's up, Synthwave? Good to see you. Hey, what's up, Gif? How you doing? Yep, just what the dentist ordered. A nice Saturday night stream. Lawrence, what's up, man? Good to see you. I know you're probably still awake. Piers, what's up, Buggy? How you doing? Constantine, thanks, man. I liked it. I came up with that. I'm like, there's got to be something I can do with the PH, something. So yeah, let's get freaky. Dave C, what's up? Alan, my man, always around. Good to see you, buddy. Blue with the fire as always. Willie B Long, $100 in on the famous sack. Nice, man. What was it? I think technically the famous sack is still open. Double check on that in the Telegram and like on the websites. Don't take my word for it. Yeah, if the sacrifice is still open and it's something you're interested in, go ask questions, do your own research. I would never recommend to get into a sacrifice directly, personally. Full disclosure, I did put some money in. I did sacrifice myself for famous. I did not sacrifice for fiat though. One important thing about the sack for famous, they are launching fiat on Ethereum, so eFiat. So part of your sack for famous does entitle you to some fiat tokens on Ethereum, but not fiat tokens on Pulsechain. So that's something cool to know. Dario Lopez, what's up? Hey, it's good to see you. I know who you are. Lake Dog, what's up? It's called Phone Free. And Hex Farmer, good to see you. Well, all right, we're at the bottom of the chat. Shall we get started? This one shouldn't take too long. We'll see how it goes, and then I'll start questions as I'm going, and I'll answer them at the end. Okay. So let's do it. Let's get freaky, guys. And of course, thank you to everybody who came on this. Kind of like I always do little impromptu streams. I don't really schedule them out too much, but thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. So, all right. We're going to start with fiat. So fiat was the first first project launched by Buck and his team, and it is an Aave fork. And so for those of you who don't know, Aave is a borrowing and lending platform that exists on Ethereum, and it's been around for quite a while. I think it's been around for like 2 cycles now. I think it's coming up on its 3rd already, which is pretty impressive. And it's been wildly successful, still running, all of that. So fiat is a fork of Aave, and in Aave and in fiat, there are going to be 4 different ways to participate: lenders, borrowers, stakers, and liquidators. Now, the full white papers for fiat aren't up yet in terms of like its exact dynamics. They just have like a teaser of the basics of the tokenomics for the fiat token. So I'm not going to talk about liquidators too much. I could have just taken what they have on Aave and bring it over, but I have a feeling they're probably going to be changing some parameters. So instead of talking about that, I'm going to wait till that is fully out for their white papers. Okay, but everything else will probably be, the skeleton of everything else will probably be the same, and so that's mainly what I'm going to talk about. All right, so with all of these different players, let's see generally how the system works. So you have your lenders, your borrowers, and your stakers, and of course you have tokens. So the lenders go in and they deposit their tokens into the protocol, and they're just lenders, so they're not taking any advances. But the borrowers would go in, also put up some tokens, but they would take some tokens as a loan. So if they put up like $10,000 in hex for fiat, maybe they'll take out $2,000 of, say, I don't know, USDL or USDC, whatever they want. And so whenever a borrower takes a loan against the coins that they deposited, there's obviously going to be a fee in place for that. Now, I'm sure this isn't the only place where fees are going to come from on the fiat platform, and I'm sure there are many also on the Aave protocol that you can look at right now. But generally, like the fees for using the protocol that are generated by the borrowers, probably when they're paying back loans, probably any extra APY, any extra interest that is earned on it. These are fees that are generated by the platform. And so these fees are split in half. So 50% go to the lenders, the people who are depositing the tokens and like not taking a loan on them. And then 50% are given to the fiat stakers. So this is the native coin for the system. And if you stake it, you're earning 50% of the protocol fees. So this is basically fiat in a nutshell, how it works. You can play either one of these three different roles in the system, whichever one you like the most. And so obviously being able to collateralize our assets in a decentralized fashion is very powerful. Buck really advertises this as a system for whales, right? So like, let's just take Godwell, for example. He can't reasonably exit a percentage of his position because he would just wreck the price, right? But now with a tool like fiat, he could probably extract a significant amount of value without having to hurt the price chart, which is good. I think any kind of maturing asset class or any kind of maturing asset needs these kinds of options and like financial platforms to be able to probably make the market more efficient, but also just to make it worthwhile to have high valuations of an asset within a liquidity context that doesn't allow you to extract it. And I'll get into a little bit of more of that, probably maybe not in this video, but definitely in some other videos when I'm talking about some of the theory behind why I like this stuff so much. Oh man, we got something special. Bullish Ox with the 55 super chat. Here's some fiat. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. And hey, real quick, shout out to Bullish and the great Twitter spaces he had today with KDP and the Power City crew, talking about all things Pulsechain, validators, consensus, the consensus layer, KDP, an incredible resource, very knowledgeable. So if you did not catch that live, I highly recommend. I believe, Bullish, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, it is on the Power City YouTube channel, correct? So go check that out. I spoke for like 2 minutes on there. So if you want to hear me speaking there, that's there. But yeah, thank you, Bullish. I appreciate it, brother. All right. Okay. So we talked about the general skeleton. Now here, it's kind of cool because typically when we think of collateralizations of our assets, we are thinking about taking a volatile asset and then borrowing a stable coin. But with Aave and with fiat, you can actually, any of the coins you can deposit, you can use as the coins you're receiving in your loan. So say like for some weird example, you want to deposit Hex and you want to you deposit Hex and you want to get Hedron, like you want to take your loan out in Hedron. Well, you can do it. Or like say you want to deposit your Pulse and you want to grab some Hedron or Hex to stake to like generate a little bit of income. Like you're a Pulsechain whale, and instead of maybe, I guess you can't really delegate your pulse anymore, but instead of like setting up a validator or setting up a node, you wanted to like do a short-term rolling hex stake or maybe like a 90-day hedron stake to earn a little bit of income on the things you weren't using productively for your pulse chain. You can do that on fiat by taking out a loan in these other assets, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And so, yeah, and as well as these are all assets you can turn into liquid staking because you can put them into the platform and then other people will borrow those assets and you're earning fees because you have deposited those coins and are allowing other people to basically utilize them in their loans. Now, let's look at the risks to rewards or the risks and benefits of the fiat token. And so the risks, of course, is low utilization of the protocols equals low fees. Excuse me. Now, low fees means the coin is less desirable, which leads to the next risk, which is price volatility to the downside, right? So, like, if the platform fails, then the fiat token fails. Fairly obvious. The benefits, though, high utilization of the protocol. So if you think this is a service that people on Pulsechain are going to want to use, then you are able to get 50% of those fees, or you are able to get a percent of 50% of the fees by owning and staking the fiat token. Which, of course, if the fees are high, presumably people are buying fiat to stake it, which means there's price volatility to the upside, and it's a fixed supply. So the people who sacrifice for fiat are the only ones who are going to have access to the token, as well as like team allocations and whatnot. But there is no inflation of this token. So it's a fixed supply asset that earns income via the fees of the platform. And so that's pretty powerful, right? I think if you're bullish on the platform, it makes logical sense to have some exposure to the fiat token because you're earning the fees and getting a portion of the success of the token. Okay. Now, rules of fee distribution, because the staking of fiat and famous, as I'll talk about in a minute, is not exactly like the staking we're used to. So if 100% of the tokens are staked, then 100% of the net fees will be distributed to the fiat stakers in the native currencies. So like in fiat, you're earning, I believe, all of these fees on the platform. Whatever the fee is paid into is the thing that you're earning. But if X% of the tokens are not staked, then X% of the net fees will be distributed to the protocol treasury. So what that means is there isn't this dynamic that we see like in Hex where non-stakers are conferring value to the stakers because the pool of rewards is being equally distributed to the stakers. And if people aren't staking, then they're forfeiting their percentage of that reward. In fiat, whatever is not staked, those rewards go to a treasury. They do not get distributed to people who are staking, which is very important. So if you own 1% of the pool of the fiat tokens, you can only ever earn 1% of the fiat rewards, even if you are the only person in the staking pool. So that other 99% will just go to the treasury. And this is taken directly from their white paper. Now, what are some things that they talk about that this treasury could be done? Here are a couple options. Distribute it back to collect fees other than fiat, collect fees to buy and burn, basically, or buy and redistribute, provide liquidity with buying the fiat tokens, use them as extra rewards for platform users and other LP providers. So this is important. So use collected fees to buy back fiat on the open market and use them as extra rewards for platform users and or LP providers. Think Pulsex. So like, you have the party token. The party token, and so that's the thing when you stake your Pulsex, like other platforms go in and decide like, hey, here's a specific amount of token allocations we'll give to people who delegate or stake their Pulsex in our pool. Like that's probably something that could happen with this, the way that this is structured. And then, so basically think of it like, I don't know, an OA-like entity, an entity that's coded into the system that receives a percent of the rewards or receives a percent of the system that at least we can make the assumption is benevolent. Excuse me, I can't say benevolent. So yeah, that's important to note as a fiat staker. Now, as a lender, what are your risks and what are your benefits? So one of the risks is low utilization of the protocol is low fees. And so, you're depositing your coins, but no one's borrowing, so you're not really earning anything. Your just coins are just sitting in their smart contracts. Low liquidity, where you cannot withdraw your coins. We'll talk about in a second, and dilution of entitled fees. So we talked about how fiat is a fixed supply asset. Well, anybody can continuously add tokens to be a lender. And so, like, as more people add, if you're not adding, your share of the fees are getting diluted. But of course, the main benefit is like high utilization of the protocols. You get high fees. One I didn't add in there was that it's a different way to like earn income on your tokens, and this is a very liquid way of doing that. So, like for Hex, for example, you need a lot of Hex to make short term staking viable. On Pulsechain, you'll need a little bit less, but like still, like to really for it to be worth for the juice to be worth the squeeze, like you need to have some volume in there. With fiat, you can deposit your hex in there and earn some income, even though it may not be like enough to do short term rolling stakes, and maybe you don't want to punt it out 5 to 15 years. You want to keep that liquid. So this is like another avenue to make your coins productive for you. Yeah. Now, as a borrower, what are your risks? Well, first, there's liquidation. I'm not going to get into the specifics on like how liquidations work, or at least on Aave, it's not exactly liquidations. I believe it's somebody like paying off your collateralization or your loan. But I'll discuss that once we have the specific rules on like how liquidations and or paying off a loan works with fiat. And as well as accrued interest over time. So that's something I just took from the Aave protocol. It's like, there's a certain interest rate to your loan. And like, even though like the benefits is like no set repayment period, which I got from the Aave protocol, as time goes on, you are accruing interest on that loan. So you do need to keep that in mind if you're borrowing assets. But one benefit is, you get to collateralize loan on the Hex ecosystem assets. Aave does not support Hex, Hedron, or any of that. So like we don't have access to collateralize these assets that we have. But on Pulsechain we will. That's pretty cool. And like I was saying before, large players can extract their value without hurting price. Okay, so this is something I took from Aave, and this is one big thing to take in mind, especially if you're a lender and you're depositing funds. And that's you would need to make sure there's enough liquidity not borrowed in order to withdraw. If this is not the case, you need to wait for more liquidity from suppliers or borrowers repaying. So if you are depositing assets as a lender, then like there isn't 100% guarantee that your coins are actually there for you to be able to withdraw. So if like people are like really like wanting like Hex, like they're putting in money and they're borrowing Hex, like they're putting in, I don't know, Pulsechain, and then they're borrowing a bunch of Hex for it, and it taps into the pool of the fiat reserves, then like you couldn't withdraw your entitled Hex because like it's just not there. So that's very important to keep in mind when putting assets into the fiat protocol. There's one more thing I wanted to add to that. If I remember, I'll talk about it later. But yeah, this is very important. Okay, so that is fiat. Oh, sorry, but I believe there are probably like the fees on like borrowing and lending or like repaying things along that line. Like the fees around utilizing like these different tokens are variable depending on the needs of the system. So it's like you'll pay less fees or you'll get more yield by depositing an asset that's needed versus depositing an asset that's not needed. The APYs and the fees will be dynamic around what kind of liquidity is needed. Okay. So, Famous. Famous is a fork of GMX. And GMX is a decentralized leverage trading platform. And so, like, normally when you're doing leverage trading, you're going to a centralized exchange. And the people who are giving you the coins to take out leverage is the centralized exchange. With GMX, the coins come from the community. So just like in fiat, the coins that are being used to give out to other people when they take a loan, the coins that are being used to give you leverage is coming from the community as well. And so in this system, you have stakers, you have suppliers, and you have traders. And these are kind of like the three ways you can play this system. All right. So let's look at the skeleton. So first you have the suppliers, and they're, of course, depositing tokens into the protocol. Now, it's a little bit different with Famous than Fiat in that there's something called the PHLP token. So that's like the Famous liquidity pool token. So think of it like an LP token that you would get on a normal like Uniswap V2 LP position. You're basically getting a token that is representative of your share of the liquidity pool. Okay. So you've deposited your tokens and you've gotten the PHLP in return. Now, those tokens are given to the traders who are doing leverage, like whether they're doing, I believe it goes up to 30x. So they're doing like a 30x long, 30x short, et cetera, et cetera. The traders are getting those coins that you deposited. Now, whenever traders are trading, there are fees associated with all of this. And so those fees are distributed to two places. 40% goes to the Famous stakers, and 60% goes to the PHLP pool. This is very important. This is something that took me a second to realize. The Famous stakers, that 40% is like redeemable yield. So there's a button that you can click that'll say like collect yield, and then you'll get those tokens. With PHLP, that's not exactly true. Those fees go into the liquidity pool. And so it's like the backing of PHLP is being increased by the fees, but there's not like a button that you can click to like collect the fees that you earn. So that's a very important point on the dynamics of PHLP versus Famous. Now, also, and I didn't put this in here, but liquidations, I believe, also go to the PHLP pool. So 100% of the liquidations go to the PHLP pool and are deposited in there. Important to note, the value that, let me see, how do I phrase this? When traders make money, that value comes from the PHLP pool. And I believe I'll talk about that in a little bit. So if a trader wins, the people holding the PHLP pool are losing. Whenever a trader loses, the people holding the PHLP token are winning. So being a liquidity provider in Famous is essentially betting against traders. So if you think traders lose more than they win, PHLP is a token for you. If you believe you can trade well, trading is for you. And if you just want to passively earn fees on the protocol, then Famous staking is for you. Those are essentially the different roles you can play. 1 second. All right, let's keep going. So I like the PHLP token a lot. I think it's pretty cool because you can input, these are the tokens that are on the testnet right now, and you can input any of these tokens, and then you can withdraw any of the tokens at the same time. So you can put in like a crap ton of hex, and say if you wanted to withdraw or redeem your PHLP tokens, you can withdraw all, say, in Maxi if you really wanted to. There is no rule. There is no like you deposit hex, you have to pull hex. You deposit Maxi, you have to pull out Maxi. None of that. And so it's like when you deposit your tokens into the PHLP pool, you are essentially getting exposure to a basket of assets. So you're turning one asset, exposure to one price chart, into the exposure of many price charts. And I think that dynamic is pretty cool, especially if we're considering the yield you're generating from a lot of these inflation protocols. We were to turn our inflation instead of just exposure to that asset or trading it for exposure to another asset. We can deposit it for exposure to all of the assets. Now, of course, that comes. Of course, what comes along with that is things like impermanent loss, as well as like, underperformance, because the winners will outperform, but they'll be drugged down by the losers. So, like, if Pulse goes up a lot, and then you have something like, I don't know, with loan here, say loan token or Zen is going down, then like there's gonna be more loan or Zen in the pool than there is gonna be Pulse chain. And so the value, the average value of each PLHP token is going to be weighed down by the losers, if that makes sense. Nonetheless, I think it's still pretty cool. If everything's moving up, you kind of have exposure to everything all together. All right. So let's talk about the Fame token, and let's do a risk rewards analysis. Risks: low utilization of the protocol, get low fees. Pretty simple. Price go down. Yeah. Rewards: the exact opposite. High utilization of the protocol, price volatility to the upside. And I didn't mention this before, but Fame is a fixed supply asset. So just like with fiat, no inflation will exist once the sacrifice is over and once the token is live. It's only for sacrificers and only for team tokens. And the sack is still live, so go to the Telegram. After I'm done, I'll put the Telegram and everything in the description box below. Yeah, I'll put all the Twitters in the description below, so you guys can check it out once I'm done. Once I'm not live. Yep. So basically, just passive staking, yield generating token, fixed supply asset. Now, the rules of fee distribution for Fame are the exact same as fiat, in that non-stakers do not give value to stakers. You only get your percentage of your tokens. That's the max you can get if you've been staking everything, and then the treasury gets its cut of the fees that from people who aren't staking. Now, it is important to notice there are two treasuries here. So Famous has its own treasury, and fiat has its own treasury. So two treasuries, not one. All right. PHLP token. So risks: low utilization of the protocol, low fees. Pretty obvious. Impermanent loss with a basket of assets, which I talked about previously. Successful trades extract value from here. So traders win, PHLP token holders lose. Dilution of entitled fees. So just like with the lenders in fiat, more people can be adding tokens and minting PHLP tokens, which if you're not doing the same thing, like you're getting dilute, your percentage of the 60% fees that are being distributed to the pool are getting diluted, versus something like Famous, where you're never actually getting diluted. You're not getting inflated either unless you're buying and staking more coins, but you're at least not getting diluted. Your position is static. Rewards, of course, higher utilization of protocol, more fees, exposure to a wide basket of Hex ecosystem assets by only putting in one asset. Pretty powerful in my opinion. And then value added when traders lose. So if you think traders are going to lose more than they win, which is a kind of a general Hex ethos thing, then hey, this might be something you want to take a look at. Yeah, I think that covers it for PHLP, and that's it for the presentation. Also, they are creating Fatty.io, and this is kind of like a Zerion. It's a wallet aggregator, so you can put your public address into the website and track all your different addresses, and it'll have like all the support of all the Hex ecosystem, Pulsechain stuff. So that's a cool thing that they're doing for the community, completely free. So I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. All right. So give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek into like kind of the themes I'm going to be playing with in future streams. And the first is inflation and fees synergy. So we have tokens like Hex, Hedron, and Icosa that are earning us passive income. But that passive income is coming from inflation. With fiat and Famous staking those tokens or providing liquidity on either of the platforms, we are getting passive income via fees generated from the service of the platform. Now, both of these are both of these are passive income. Both of these things are yield, but they're fundamentally different in where that yield comes from. But as you saw in this presentation, the way to unlock some of the fees in the system comes from the amount, comes from depositing these inflation tokens. So what does that mean? That means your ability or the amount of control that you have over the inflation of the coins that are being supported on this platform directly correlates to the amount of fees you're able to harvest on these platforms. Specifically, the parts where you're depositing coins. And if you own more of a percentage of the fees, you can outcompete the people who don't have a large percentage of the inflation of like Hex, Hedron, and Icosa. Now, why is that important? Because you have to put that in the context of the T-share, which is continuously pricing out people or continuously pushing out people from being able to obtain that next high level of inflation. Just like, at one point, 100 T-shares was very obtainable, and most people, each of their stakes was at least 100 T-shares. Now, it's very, very difficult to get 100 T-shares, and even on a 95+% dip, it is not feasible to get 100 T-shares unless you're putting in a significant amount of money and you're leveraging your time for 15 years. So that is already a real world or a real example on how the T-share rate has priced people out of obtaining a certain percentage of the system's inflation, which is going to be supported by a platform like Fiat and Famous. So you can't get the same amount of fees as the Hex, Sharks, and Dolphins simply because you're not able to buy that amount of inflation anymore. They already have it. So those fees are going to them. But we still have the opportunities to get that because at some point, T-shares are single T-shares are going to be the same thing as 100 T-shares. And so like that same level of like disconnect is going to happen again, except we're going to have a larger percent of the new entrants in the future. Now that can continuously go on for a long time. That's how like the system allows for meat on the bone for new participants all the time. But we want to be able to collect as much inflation as possible so that we are able to plug ourselves into these platforms as well as heavily as we possibly can. So yeah, that's kind of my and then you take that fee income and you roll it back into the inflation tokens where you're using each as a generator for each of the for each other. And so this is a little bit what it would look like on a flowchart. And so you have your inflation yield of choice, Hex, Hedron, Icosa, and you deposit it into the famous.io protocol for PHLP. This is just one example. Now, what's cool is you'll find there's a little line, I believe, in the famous white paper that says that PHLP will be supported by Fiat. So you can deposit that liquidity pool token, which keep in mind is earning fees in the background. You can deposit that onto Fiat and use it as collateral for a loan. So there are two scenarios here. Say you want to go the low risk way. You don't actually want to collateralize. You just want to deposit it. So you have your PHLP token intrinsically earning fees. You deposit it into Fiat, and now you're in a low risk way earning platform fees from Fiat. So you've taken your main basket of yield. So let's just say your Hedron stake, your Hedron and your Icosa stake. You're taking all that Icosa and you're depositing it into PHLP. So you've taken one coin that you've earned for free, and now you've got this other coin that is now earning you more coins. And then you take that coin that's earning you more coins, put it into Fiat, and now that's earning you even more coins. So you've turned one coin basically into two productive assets through this platform. Now, if you want to go a little higher risk, you deposit the PHLP token, and then you take a collateralized loan on that PHLP. Maybe say, in this specific example, buy FAME or Fiat, and then you stake those to earn the platform fees that way. You can take out any asset that you want. Maybe you take out more Hex, more Hedron to stake it. The options there are endless. This is just one example. But I think this schematic here kind of gets at like the opportunities we're going to have with the opportunities we're going to have by having our tokens being supported by such a platform. I think it's a game changer, and I think it actually adds utility to Hex, Icosa, Hedron. I believe even like the Pulse Doge, Pulse Bitcoin people are they're probably going to be supported. I've heard about Buck. I've heard Buck trying to reach out to that community and the whales in their community to try to sacrifice to help them get supported. And I think that would be good. Any kind, if you have a token that is self-inflating with mechanics to like reward those who support the system long term. I think you want your token to be supported by uh, platforms like this because that's another place for inflation to go to be used to help make the market more efficient, as well as somewhere else for it to go besides the price chart, basically. So people can earn money on their tokens without having to hurt the price chart, and people can extract value without having to hurt the price chart. Because as of right now, the only way to extract value from Hex, Hedron, and Icosa is to sell it on the market. The more avenues we have to extract value without going directly on the price chart, the better it is for the price chart. And this is an important point. The better it is for the price chart, which means these tokens have a higher probability of getting higher valuations. So even if, say, for example, you have a low liquidity asset where like you can't pull out $1 million, right? But like because it's low liquidity, the ability for it to pump is really high. So it pumps a bunch. Just say hypothetically, you get high valuations, but people can't exit because they're going to crash the price. They're going to crash the token price. Platforms like these allow those inflated valuations to be realized to a certain degree. So like in a way, having a low liquidity asset with high token valuations, you can use those high valuations as collateral and take out loans against that high valuation, even though the underlying liquidity wouldn't allow you to extract that value in the first place. And one of the features of tokens like Hex is having a what's the word I'm looking for? A Goldilocks like zone of liquidity where price can be supported to a degree, but also has the ability to pump really hard. Because as you know, the purpose of Hex is staking. So the purpose of Hex is to take it off the market, so there isn't liquidity there for it. Very briefly. But yeah, that's kind of the overview of what I'm thinking. I'm going to be fleshing out these ideas a little bit more. Probably having dedicated streams and or maybe like pre-recorded videos for these specific ideas. I think this stuff is really cool. It really excites me, and it really, has motivated me to try to get more inflation of these systems that I really like. Yeah, that's it, guys. I started a couple questions, so I'll go through those. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate that. I hope that all made sense. Drop more questions if you have them, and I'll stick around as long as you guys have things to talk. You got the stuff you guys want to talk about. All right, so let's go. Hank Hill. Less people who stake fame or fiat doesn't mean the stakers get more of the 40%. The unstaked part just goes to the treasury. Correct. They already have their own tokens of it. Yes, there are team tokens. I don't think the treasury exactly has tokens. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, yeah, you have that idea. There are team tokens, and the treasury also gets a percent of the fees based on people who are not staked. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me pull it up really quickly, like the pie chart on the docs. No, there's. So this is at least fiat's distribution. So let's see. Yeah. So I was kind of wrong. So the treasury actually gets 10%. Let me see. Can you guys see that? There we go. So actually, yeah, the treasury does already get 10% of the tokens. The community from the sacrifice gets 65%, and then HexOA gets 1%. That's kind of interesting. Core team, so that's the team tokens, gets 18%, and contributors get 60. I'm not sure what contributors are, but they get 6%. And so that's kind of how that breaks down. Frenchies on Famous. Do you know if the SAC for future famous on EVM blockchain or just hold for famous? Wait. Are you saying I don't think there are any plans to launch famous on Ethereum right now. I think it's just I think famous is specifically for Pulsechain. I think that's the question you're asking. If have to SAC for future famous on EVM. Oh, well, so you do SAC on EVM chains. Go to like the let me see if I can pull it up. So let's go to. So yeah, the famous SAC is now live. There's different tier pools, but yeah, all EVM chains are supported, and this is the address: ETH mainnet only and BTC only. Yeah. So go to the Telegram, check out the SAC rules for the sacrifice. Ask plenty of questions before you send any money. Don't just trust what I'm showing you right here. Definitely look into it more yourself and confirm everything. All right, let's see. Well, yeah, biceps in the chat, right? I saw some Jim Rat Crypto. Good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've enjoyed the show, guys. Let's see. Yes, Russ, this stuff is cool. Nah, it's awesome. Oh man. And then like yeah, so actually is I think liquid loans and like these protocols actually go together pretty well personally. Liquid loans is something is essentially a stable coin factory, while this stuff is a little bit more community driven borrowing and lending and trading. So yeah. Boom, what's up? Globetrotter, thoughts on Zen? Yeah, I think Zen's kind of interesting. I personally actually I think I've only minted one wallet. And I think it's due. It was like a day one mint. Just trying to get one of the original like low C rank ones. I think it's coming up in like a day or two, which is crazy. It's been what 100 days since the launch. Obviously, it's been wildly successful in terms of like building a community. What's the word? It's been wildly successful except for the price chart. But I think we could all that is to be expected from the dynamics of the token. My take on Zen is that it's an experiment in like what makes it's an experiment on the two factors that like produce price appreciation in crypto, and so that's network effect and digital scarcity, right? And so for Zen, it like completely threw digital scarcity out the window. It's like anybody can mint this stuff as much as you want, as long as you have the wallets and the patience for it. And now with like Zen NFTs, like the minting's a little bit easier. So completely threw that out the window and like focused completely on trying to get as many people in as possible. And I think that like Zen has a community, like you can't argue with that. And so I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I personally don't recommend buying it. At most, if you want to get it, mint it when gas is under 10 Gwei. And it's like it's an 8-year hold. I don't pay super close attention to it, but I have my eye on it, and I know Access Alive is keeping an eye on it on his charts in the Discord room. So obviously through him, it's always in the corner of my eye. Do we know how much to set? I do not know off the top of my head. You have to, yeah. Well, actually, let me see if there's a total supply. I think they dropped a total supply not too long ago, but yeah, I don't remember. Sorry. Let's see. Yes, Russ, there's a SAC. It's I'll throw the link in the chat. And so famous.io, all the information's there. And then let me throw the Telegram in here. There we go. There's the Telegram. All right. So yeah, go. All the information's there. Hey, no problem, Frenchie. Hey, what's up, RH Max? How you doing? I hope you're doing well, man. Let's see. Sorry, Sloth. I was using Chat GPT to make a new Icosa. How's that going for you, man? I know coding's pretty tough for you, so if you need any help, let me know. I'm sure I can help you out. It's going well. Oh man, is the paid group was so? Yes, it's still active. We're still going. Let me get 0x Brennan's Twitter because he's the guy to talk to about entering. But yeah, we are still going strong, and we have a really solid group of people. I've been having a lot of fun. Axis has been dropping charts daily. We got a bunch of bots from Silver. They're going. He's doing chain analysis. I see us, and I have a stream. I have a stream scheduled with Access Alive at the end of the month. That's also where I'm going to debut my website that I've been building. But I'm really, and I'll talk more about the Discord then. But I'm really excited about the Discord because I see it being one of the, if not the like premier education platform, maybe not a platform, but education resources for navigating Pulsechain in terms of from the beginning, from launch in perpetuity. So like we're going to be around the whole time. Access is going to be doing all of his incredible charts. Silver is going to be doing all of his on-chain analysis from like day one, even pre-day one, even. And then I'm going to be putting together all basically the mechanics of all the different systems. So all three of us have skill sets that go really well together, and we're just going to be, learning from each other and amplifying the value that each of us can provide, and giving that value to people who would like to join. All right, thanks. At some point, I'll get merch. We'll see, man. Hey, what's up, Hexlove? I hope you're doing well. I'm not going to do any bring anybody up tonight. It's a little late where I'm at, but another time. Don't worry. Yeah, I triggered Max. I know how to get under his skin. I Python. Yeah. Thank you, Piers. I appreciate that. Let's see. Do you guys think there'll be a group forming around stuff you can strategize around fiat and or famous? I'm not sure, like about groups, but like I'm sure there are people who are like specific strategies. How much ETH can I send you to get 4 wrenches back? Wait, are you not Max doesn't have a wrench. I think I'll leave it. I think I'll leave it like that. I thought you did have one, and I guess you didn't. You can send me 4 ETH to get 4 wrenches back. I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh. Can you explain how liquid loans can be integrated with fiat? Yeah, so all they have to do is add USDL and loan to the protocol. They just have to support it, and so then you would be able to deposit your loan and take a loan out against your loan, and then you could deposit USDL to earn platform fees, and then other people would be taking your USDL as the debt, not the debt, but like as like their loan, if that makes sense. Saying the word loan too many times there. But this is actually something important Buck brings up when he goes on streams and talks, and that is that the Liquidity guys, the LUSD people on Ethereum, they petitioned really hard to get onto Aave. And so like the originators of the protocol saw immense value on having the stable coin be on that platform. And so I think the two, it can exist and exist in tandem and synergistically for sure. They tell them the next level stuff only. At least for me, most of the stuff in the Discord you get at first. I think most of the information eventually gets distilled down publicly. But a lot of the value in the Discord, especially for me, is getting the stuff first, and then also direct access, and then like conversations that all of us have, as well as like the private videos that we do. Like we do streams, private streams. Me and Access, at least Access does like 2 streams a month with Bob the Contrarian, and then me and him do like 1 to 2 a month with Silver. All right, guys. I think we are getting. Oh wait, I'll send you my ref link to the new VPN thing too. There's so many times, Max, I watch your stream and the opportunity for a VPN joke is just always ever present, and it makes me laugh. All right, guys. Looks like we're at the end. Solid 50 minutes and 48 people on 11:15 on a Saturday night. Well, yeah. So wait, let's see. The Gigabrain. I think you'll like what Power City Amplify. Yep, yeah. Power City is definitely a pretty cool platform, and I like all the different options that they have. They're very ambitious project, I will say. NFT marketplace, auto compounder, multi-chain bridge. Like, there's a lot going on, and definitely a lot. The Watt token can a lot of different ways fees can be collected for the Watt token to like capture. So like, yeah, I haven't dug into it too much, but at some point I'll probably be talking about Power City. All right. Shane. 3:15 p.m. Sunday afternoon in Australia. Okay, so I guess it's a good time for me to be live for Shane, for my Australian viewers. But all right, guys, I think that is it for me. So thank you, all 48 of you who are still around this 50 minutes in. Let me think. Like, comment, subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead. Hit the like button. I'll see. Hey, 48 viewers, 47 likes. You guys are awesome. That's a damn near 100% like rate. You don't see that too often, so I definitely appreciate that. Yeah. Monday, catch me on with Dylan from Fiat and Famous. We're just going to be having a fun conversation, talking about all this stuff. I'm really excited for it. And let's see what else. Consults, one-on-one consults. DM me on Twitter. We can get that straightened out. If you want like personalized. If you want somebody to kind of go back and forth with your personal situation, I'm happy to do that. Discord access, message 0xBrennan on Twitter. Put it in the chat. We would love to have you guys. All right, guys.